Good evening, I'm Rondell Joseph. Tonight on the RTA 25 News at 10, the CTA has its reroutes ready for the DNC. The details are coming your way. Plus, the uncertain future about Greyhound as they are expected to vacate its Harrison Street home, the pushback continues. Also, the Red Line Extension Project funding comes to more than expected, and a familiar Chicago anchor celebrates 3 decades in the market. Following that, the latest travel times, it's all tonight on the News at 10. Just ahead here at 10, the Red Line Extension Project faces more regarding pricing for the project. Plus, the CTA finalizes the reroutes for the Democratic National Convention and the possibilities of all CBS stations shifting to green screen style sets. We'll have that plus your winning lottery numbers. It's all coming up next on 25. It's 10 o'clock and it's time for 25. Greyhound's home in Chicago is set to hit the eviction notice. The latest updates on what could happen. Road closures in places on both sides of the State Street divider for the Democratic National Convention. What you need to know as Monday approaches. Hosea Sanders celebrates 30 years with ABC7. A look back at his rising moments over the years. The RTA 25 News at 10 starts right now.
This is RTA 25 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Rondell Joseph. Welcome to RTA 25 News at 10. We start tonight with the CTA and the reroutes for the Democratic National Convention, which is set to take stage Monday here in Chicago for the first time since 1996. Beginning this evening, there will be reroutes on buses that serve near or at McCormick Place, starting with the number 3 King Drive that will operate at 26th to State to 18th and Michigan in both directions. It will not serve at 26th Street to McCormick Place at Cermak or Michigan during the reroute. Route numbers 1, Brunsville Union Station, 4, Cottage Grove, along with the Cottage Grove Express, and the 192 University of Chicago Hospitals Express will operate along 26th to State, going to 18th in Michigan in both directions and going southbound. There will be no service along Michigan from 26th to 18th. And the number 21 Cermak will operate in both directions via Cermak to Archer and State. The route will not serve the Cermak McCormick Place Green Line or the terminal at 26th and Michigan. However, it will serve Cermak Chinatown. Those reroutes are expected to end and last until the end of next week. For more information, you can log on to transitchicago.com/DNC. And new at 10 tonight, the Red Line extension is slowly making more progress, and the estimated cost is now set at $5.3 billion. However, according to WBEZ Radio, it did not stop the CTA from awarding the project's first contract. The extension had been expected to cost $3.6 billion several months earlier, and the agency said it had enough money lined up for the project, but on Wednesday, they said it would sell bonds to cover the increased costs. According to the CTA, the increase was due to rising labor, materials, and financing costs. Construction was initially set to start in 2022 and end in 2026. However, that construction is now slated to be started for next year and to be completed by 2030. The extension is to add stations at 103rd, 111th, Michigan Avenue, and 130th. Also new tonight, the mass transit agencies of the Northeast Illinois region are preparing for the first day of school yet again come August 26th. This will be Metra and Pace's third year involved with the free rides for students. For all 3 agencies, students can ride free with an accompanying adult from 5:30 in the morning until 8 in the early evening on the first day of class. Both CTA Chairman Dorval Carter and Metra Chairman Jim Derwinski said that they are excited to continue this tradition for Chicagoland students. Still ahead tonight on RTA 25, the CTA and Art on train, something a bit positive, plus more questions into WGN's reporters in the recent departure of Glenn Marshall. Also, CBS-owned stations might push to the VR sets. We'll have those stories in briefly tonight when the News at 10 continues in Bedford Park, Harvey, golf, and your part of Chicagoland.
RTA 25 News at 10 continues.
Welcome Welcome back, everyone. The news is quite busy as the weekend approaches. So here's a look at the stories that are in RTA 25s briefly tonight. Developing and briefly, a pedestrian was killed after being hit by a vehicle in the northern suburbs. According to police, this happened yesterday evening around 9:30 in the 700 block of Elmhurst Road in suburban Des Plaines. A Toyota Highlander was heading northbound when it struck the pedestrian, who was taken to a local hospital where he died. The driver remained on scene and is cooperating with the investigation as it continues. The fate of Greyhound's home is uncertain as they are expected to be evicted from the location at Jefferson and Harrison, where they've been for several years, dating back to the late 80s. But as the city plans to have buses be relocated to the CTA bus stop outside of Union Station, Greyhound, as well as Amtrak and other stakeholders, aren't really feeling it. CBS Chicago interviewed Audrey Winnick, one of the members of the Metropolitan Planning Council, and here's what she had to say as to why this is not a good idea.
Well, right now there's a transit station that CTA buses use, and it's really quite small. There's no building right there, right on that side of the road. Jackson Boulevard is very congested. There's no place to drop off and pick up people. I think you can understand when people are taking Greyhound, usually people are dropping them off, people are waiting for them. There's a lot of, there would be a lot of chaos and people double parked all over Clinton and Jackson. So it's really not appropriate. You need people to have a place that's sheltered, where they can wait, where they have access to restrooms and food. Greyhound travelers, it's a different experience for them, and we need to provide them a dignified and practical place to wait and transfer.
Winnick adds that the city should acquire the station when the lease expires, which is next month. The Federal Transit Administration has issued a final rule updating its public transportation certification training program. According to Mass Transit Magazine, the update maintains a uniform safety training curriculum and minimum requirements for rail, transit, and state safety personnel, and build up on existing training requirements for safety professionals. The update also builds back on a rule issued in 2018, which established safety oversight, training, and the technical proficiency of those who conduct safety audits. The FTA will provide technical assistance to transit agencies to help implement the regulation. Well, we see a lot of art on CTA trains and L stops, but this one has an eye-grabbing look that will be seen on the blue, green, and orange lines. It's part of an investment to add to the public art throughout the city, which is estimated at $11 million. CBS 2 Chicago interviewed the artist Esperanza Rosas and project curator Bob Faust, and here's what they had to say about the art.
6 months ago, we started talking with DKs about a project on the rails, and it was really important to us that what we were doing was showing the depth of Chicago's creative community, and the subject being democracy was such an important thing to show and not just talk about.
Yeah, so when Bob came initially to me with this idea and just the concept of democracy itself, I thought the image that came to mind was Shepard Fairey's Hope campaign, and that's how I affiliated it to Esperanza. Since Esperanza is hope in Spanish, I wanted to talk to people that look like me, Latinos, show representation in that sense. And I thought of myself as a commuter taking the train in Chicago and really just looking up and seeing a sign of hope. These trains are not only going to be running throughout the DNC, but also for a long time.
The art is expected to roll out sometime around next week. Neighborhood murals are also expected to be out that are made by Chicago artists in collaboration with community organizations. Briefly Tonight continues. Glenn Marshall has departed his role as a reporter at WGN after 4 years. Marshall cited that he did not get a chance to do a proper goodbye, but he appreciates Chicago and will always cherish his time spent at WGN. The Chicago native is a graduate of NIU. He started at NBC5 as an intern, later desk assistant and news associate, to WICS ABC News Channel 20 in Springfield, later at Boston's NBC 10 and CBS's 46 WGCL. hotel before returning home. Marshall's exit comes less than a month after Gaynor Halls, who was with WGN for 16 years, and it raised concerns from Chicago and ABJ about the dwindling number of African American journalists at WGN, with the fear that more might leave the Nexstar-owned company. The future of CBS News, local and national, might be a full-fledged green screen set. According to Adweek TV Newser, recently CBS Bay Area, aka KPIX 5, has adopted the green environmental style set, as well as CBS News 24/7. There are many more expected to come at other local stations, including here at home by September. Now, CBS 2 Chicago debuted its restored Streetside studio in July after 6 years in Studio B. The current set faces toward Daly Plaza once again, as it did in its initial 2008 debut. ABC 7's Hosea Sanders celebrates 30 years with WLS. The 67-year-old joined ABC 7 from Los Angeles in 1994 as a morning anchor with Lauren Cohn, who at the time had been with the station since 1993. Over the years, he also anchored ABC 7 News This Morning with Leah Hope from 1996 through 2001 and Judy Sue from 2001 through 2015. He later was promoted to launch a 7 o'clock newscast on WCIU Channel 26 The U, which he co-anchored with alongside Linda Yu and Cheryl Burton until its end in 2019. The 17-time award-winning anchor and entertainment reporter has contributed to many other segments, including Heart and Soul, the Bud Billiken Parade coverage, which he was recently one of the honorary Grand Marshals for this year, and many other produced ABC 7 local shows. Congratulations, my friend. Here's to 30 more. That's a look at briefly tonight. Here are your winning lottery numbers. You're watching RTA 25. We don't have any service changes to report on the CTA rails for tonight, so all is good. That'll wrap up the RTA 25 News at 10 for this Friday night. Remember, you can connect with us on social media. I'm Rondell Joseph. The RTA 25 News continues tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. Have a great night and a great weekend.